Hello everyone, how's everybody doing? It's time for another exciting video from RK Loves Gadgets. For those of you who watched my previous video of the original 2004 Nintendo DS, will know that I mentioned about that I had some Nintendo Gameboys. I said I would make a video about my Nintendo Gameboys. Well yeah, it's finally the moment you've been waiting for. I've got three Game Boys right here. I've got a Game Boy Color, a Game Boy Advance, and a Game Boy Advance SP. Now, start with the Nintendo Game Boy Color. So this is the Nintendo Game Boy Color right here. It's a nice design. It's a nice shape. It's it's a nice size as well. As you can see, it's the yellow one. This was released in 1998. So basically, you got the screen there, and you got the controls. You got it's the same controls you get on all Game Boys. You got the directional controls, up, down, left, and right, and your A and B buttons. You got A there and B. I don't understand why. I thought usually on games consoles you have A there and B on the right, but this one it's different. It's A, it's B and then A. I'm not sure why Nintendo did that, but yeah, it's like that on the Nintendo DS as well. And at the bottom you've got select and start, and on the bottom end here you've got I think it's so you can plug it into the mains, like a DC connection, and there's also a headphone socket. On the left hand side you've got you've got this socket right here. I have no idea what that socket is for, so if anybody recognises this, feel free to tell me in the comments below that about that socket. You've also got the volume control on there. It's like a little wheel, like a little volume control wheel. On the right hand side you've got the on off switch, and on the top it says COM right here, and as you can see on the end there's like a little infrared sensor. So again, if anybody knows about that, feel free to let me know in the comments what the COM thing is for. I'm guessing maybe if you've got someone who has another Game Boy Color, maybe there might be some games for it that back in the day where where you could maybe have multiplayer or something, or two-player. I'm not sure. If anybody knows about that, feel free to tell me in the comments. On the back you've got the cartridge slot right here. You can see the edge of the cartridge there. You just pull that out, it comes out, and the cartridge I've got in there is Tetris. See, Tetris, Game Boy, Nintendo. So yeah, and you've got some information here, Nintendo, all that, 1998, and it takes two AA batteries. Two AA batteries. I don't often use this, so I'm not sure how much battery life is left in this. I have used it earlier this week, so and it was working fine. So hopefully it should be all right. So yeah. I have got quite a number of games for the Nintendo Game Boy Color. I currently have a Tetris one in here, so I'll turn it on and quickly show you how it works. Yeah, wait for it to load. It does take a little bit of time to load. But yeah, the only downside is this is really this is not very loud. It's on its highest volume setting, and it's not very loud. So press start, and then you can play. And you can pause the game as well. So you can press the start button to pause it. So you have all the difficulty levels that you can go through before you. So yeah, you get the idea. I have this this bag over here that I've got different Nintendo Game Boy Color games in there. Oh yeah, I've got some plugs in here. I'll just take those out for now. I won't go through all of them, but you know, I've got quite a collection of them. I can't quite exactly how many I've got in there, but I've got games like Mission Impossible, Wet Tricks. You know, one of my favourites now is can't remember the name of all of them. Mission Impossible, Wet Tricks, skateboarding, and some of the others there that you probably might all know. I do have some in another bag as well. I've got this bag used to have like some face washing accessories, like a face wash and a face rinse and a face scrub, and I use those, so I thought I'd use the bag to keep all my Game Boy Color games in. I've got this other one here. This is a different bag. I'm not sure what was in it. This was given to me some time ago, so I just open the flap, and then you've got a couple more games in there. There's a V-Rally game, a football. There's a couple of games like game packs where you've got different games in them, and you've got Power Rangers and Thunderbirds in there. So quite a number of different Game Boy Color games I have. And you know, I've got I believe I have a Pokemon game as well. So moving on to the Game Boy Advance. It's a nice design. Again, same controls. So I won't bother going through all the controls. You can see them. A little bit of a different layout, completely different shape to the Game Boy Color. This one has a power light right here. This is like a blue-grey colour, and it's see-through as well, which is surprising. It's quite interesting. It's see-through, so you can see all the electronics inside. Again, it takes two AA batteries. You can see there. Although for some reason my Game Boy Advance has a black battery cover on it, so I don't know if there was a black one at some point and somebody's got mixed them up. These aren't new. These are second hand. So. And I've got a game in here. Pop this out. Unfortunately, some of the printing has been scratched off of this cartridge. You see the label. The label is a little bit worn. So put that in. This was released in 2000. You can see the information right on the back. And I believe this was I might be wrong, but I think this was the first handheld game system that Nintendo released to have shoulder buttons. You've got the shoulder buttons with L and R for left and right, just like on the Nintendo DS that has shoulder buttons. So you got that. Just turn this one on. These all have colour screens on them, so. The older ones used to have black and white screens, so I must imagine how good that was to have these in colour. Just wait for the game to load. It does take a little while. There we go, it's starting. So I just had to move it away so I can hear it properly. It makes a quiet noise to start with. It's on maximum volume. It is a little bit louder than the Game Boy Color. It is a little bit better. So a little bit better than the Game Boy Color. I have no idea what this is called. It's X. I think it's X. Sever Ballistic. I'm not sure what. If anybody recognises this game, feel free to tell me in the comments. It's some kind of. You can go through all the levels and the settings of the game. Let's play this around a little bit. Get it going. There we go. I'll just play around with this one a little bit to show you what this is. Some kind of shooting game. Use the arrow keys to move around the screen. And I believe you can use the shoulder buttons as well, which is what I'm trying to do. So I'm trying to hold this up So I'm holding it awkwardly. I'm trying to hold this up to show you on the camera, so the camera can see. Trying not to get my fingers in the way of the screen, so you can see everything that's going on. Yeah, I think you get the idea behind this. Now this also has a headphone socket as well. Turn that off for now. Okay, so that's the Game Boy Advance. Now for the Game Boy Advance SP. Now this is my favourite because this is the I believe this was the first handheld for Nintendo to release that has a rechargeable battery pack. So this is this has got like a rechargeable, so no more double A's, just a rechargeable. And this is the charger I've got for it. Again, I've got an elastic band on it to keep the wires from getting tangled. I think this has actually seen some better days because it doesn't work too well. So I charged it up overnight, so it's on full battery, and it's because I just attempt to charge it with my Nintendo DS charger, which is this one, because they have both. I'll just show you for comparison. You see, I don't know if you can see them, the connectors, it's got exactly the same connectors, the Game Boy charger and the DS charger. Okay, so it's quite good. Again, you've got shoulder buttons, you've got 2 sockets. I'm not sure what the other ones. I'm guessing at the time this was available, you could get some accessories for the Game Boy Advance. Again, you've got a cartridge. This goes in the bottom on this one. It goes into the bottom, and and it's you've seen this game already. Oops. You've seen this game already. It's Sonic. I've showed you this in my previous video of the DS. This was released in 2002. I'm guessing this was they made this probably just before they started making plans for making the DS, because it's got, see, it opens up like on the DS, and let me just show you my DS. I've got my DS again to show you the like this. I'll stand them up like this. And see if we can get a good view of this. I'll stand them up on the table like this, that'll be easier. They're the same, see, they're the same height, and if I lay them down, they're almost, not quite, they're almost the same thickness, but it kind of looks like half, the width is kind of half the width of the DS. So, and what's really nice about the Game Boy Advance SP, the buttons do feel quite nice on this one, but when you turn it on like this, hey, how about that, everyone? A Game Boy with a backlight, because all the older Game Boys didn't have a backlight. It was just pictures, and I guess everyone had to get a light on it to be able to see it properly. But no, this one has a backlight. How about that, everyone? And it does have a little button right here, and it's kind of like a snowflake symbol, but if I press it, you can turn the backlight off and turn it on again. This one's like a pinky purple colour. Not that close to being pink, but it's pinky purple. Like a pinky purple colour. Just like that. You've seen this one already. You've already seen this game, but I thought I'd just show you a little bit again. This is my favourite game. I like this. This is one of my favourite games. I quite like Sonic. I'm sure many of you are aware. Sonic the Hedgehog. This was mostly games you used to be able to get on systems like the Sega Mega Drive and all that. This is went out all out on this one. This is my favourite. Yeah, like I said in my previous video, despite that I'm blind and I can't see the screens, I am quite a big fan of video games. I tend to play it by recognising the sounds that the video games make. Like, if I'll just show you again very quickly, just double check, make sure my camera's not being... It's on. It should still be on full battery, my camera, but I apologise if you see my hand going up to it to make sure it's still on, because I have a feeling that sometimes not all cameras can record for a long period of time. So yeah, back to this. I'll show you again about the... Now I can tell how you actually are moving forward through this game. Is sometimes the music changes. Hold it for a little bit. See the music. See it? The music's changed. I think when it makes that ting sound, that's when the music changes. And it's changed again, see? Now, there is something that is actually quite interesting. So these Game Boy Advance, you can buy different Game Boy Advance games for it. But the interesting thing is, you can actually play Game Boy Color games on the Game Boy Advance. If I can find a Game Boy Color game, this one. If I put them next to each other like this, you can see that they're the same width. Almost, probably that little top bit is a little bit wider, but they are pretty. Apart from that little bit at the top, they are pretty much the same width. They're not. I'd say they're kind of like just over half of a Game Boy Color game. So if you put the Game Boy Color game into the Game Boy Advance. Yeah, you can see it sticks out a bit, but that's how it is. And this is very interesting. It will make the original Game Boy sound when you turn it on. And yeah, it's quite interesting. I'm trying to remember what this game is. I think it's Football or V-Rally. I can't remember. Yeah, it's taking a bit of time to get started. I think this might be V-Rally. The V-Rally one does not work very well. It is a bit finicky. Let's try. I think I've got the Football one here. Stick this in. Yeah, it sticks out a little bit, so I'll be a bit careful that you don't push it in too much if you think you're going to get it in all the way. It's the way it's made, so don't go. Oh yeah, there we go. This is the Football one. Sometimes I do have a little issue with my Game Boy Color games where it won't always work. So sometimes I would just take the game out and put it back in again and it will work. Sometimes it don't always. This is one of my favourites as well for the Game Boy Color. Yeah, this is Football. I like this one. Yeah, you get the idea behind that one. Let's try that V-Rally one again. I'm not sure. I've got a feeling that one ain't working properly. These are used, of course. They're 1998. They're over 20 years old, so you would expect them to not be the best working condition you can get. Now, one of the ways that you're going to see this go off camera, I sometimes attempt to hold it up to my ear, because sometimes you can tell by the interference if it's reading the game or not. Yeah, hold on, I think this one's pretty busted. Let's turn it off again. Sorry about the noise outside. Yeah, it's not liking it. That one doesn't work very well. It's not very good. It does work sometimes. V-Rally is kind of like a racing game or some kind. But yeah, that's quite interesting. You can play Game Boy Color games on the Game Boy Advance, which is nice because then because the Game Boy Color didn't have a backlight on the screen, so if you want to playing it on the Game Boy Advance is kind of like a Game Boy Advance SP is kind of like a major improvement because you've got a backlighting which will light up the screen. The only thing is though, the interesting thing is the Game Boy Color games will not work on the Nintendo DS. I've got my Nintendo DS again. I'll take this Tetris one out of my Game Boy Color, put it into the Nintendo DS. See, it doesn't work. And that's quite interesting because they're the same width and the same thickness as the, but yeah, it doesn't work, and I wouldn't go forcing it in, and guys, in case you're thinking you're going to try and get it to work. But hopefully that gives you the idea of how of my Game Boys, my Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and Game Boy SP. I'd say I'd say that the Game Boy Advance SP is my favourite. I recommend all of them. If you like classic video games like me, then yeah, by all means, go searching around for Game Boys. There was a lot of classic handheld video game systems like this in the 90s. There's this. There was Game Boy. I believe there were some other companies that made video game consoles like this, like Bandai made the Wonder Swan, I've seen videos of. I believe there's some other ones like Game Child, Game King, Mega Duck, and some others there as well. So yeah, I think Nintendo's quite popular. I think yeah, it's quite nice. The Game Boy Color was quite decent as well. 1998. I actually want to try and get the original Game Boy from 1992. I think that was released. I've not actually owned one, but I have actually seen them in person. I've not seen the Game Boy Pocket in person, but I know the YouTube user RML695 has made a video about a Game Boy Pocket some years ago, which was from 1996, and yeah. That was quite good. So yeah, that's just a look at my Game Boys. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what I've said and what I haven't said about them. But I think I pretty much showed you everything and said everything. These will. I'll just. Oh, one thing I didn't say is the design of the Game Boy Color cartridges are slightly different. So this is one. This is the the ones that I can remember. Just put those in there so I don't forget. So, bear with me a minute. Some Game Boy Color cartridges were a slightly different design to others. I'm not sure why that was. Just look for a cartridge I can show you. So here is a Power Rangers game. This is Nintendo Game Boy Color again. This is a Game Boy. This is Power Rangers. So you've got that. And for comparison, here's the football one again. You can see that they're slightly different. You've got like a little indentation on the one on the left, and the one on the right has like a little bit that sticks up. And this one looks like it's got a little thingy on the corner. Oh yeah, I've got a couple of labels on there. Just ignore them. Yeah, some Game Boy Color cartridges looked a little bit different to the others. I just thought I'd show you that. Everyone who's never seen a Game Boy Color before and has never seen the cartridges before, I thought I'd show you that. So yeah, I think I pretty much said everything I want to say. So if there's any more that you want, anything more that you want to know, feel free to tell me in the comments below, and I will try to answer the question as best I can. Maybe I might make another video. Maybe I might make an update video about it. I do like the fact that you can pause some of the games you can't actually pause. You can press the pause button, the start button on the Game Boy to pause the game. One thing I forgot to mention in my previous video with the DS is that when you want to pause a game on the Nintendo DS, you actually have to close the lid of the DS, and it will put it in standby mode. So then when you open it up, it will resume the game from where you left off. So that's quite handy. So you can do that. Let me just quickly show you. Sorry. Sorry if I'm taking up too much time out of your day. I just want to make sure I get in as much as I can into a video. Just check if my camera's still going. Yes, it is. So this is the Junior Brain Trainer again. Now you actually have to enter your own thing like. I have actually worked out what this does actually. I've got some help with it. It's basically you answer questions like, it's a Junior Brain Trainer, so it's like an educational game. Well, when you want to pause the game, you just do that, close it, and it's paused. It goes off as well, it goes on standby. So when you open it up again, you get the idea. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say. But like I said, if anybody wants to know more, feel free to tell me in the comments. Other than that, that should be it. So thank you everyone for watching. I hope you've all enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on push notifications. And I'll see you all soon.